need?
Nope, there we go. I don't know why it was doing what it was doing, but hopefully it's recording. Let's do it.
It almost feels like somebody doesn't want us to get on. That's what it feels like.
We're gonna
Maybe
right
because
now.
We're going to talk about how important it is to pray. And we're going to get too many people praying.
Oh, never too many people to pray.
Yes, I know that.
Okay, Matt.
All right, send in the feed your way. Have a good show.
Welcome to an enlightened hour of interactive talk. This is Guided Spirit Conversations with host Marla Goldberg. In this program, we spotlight guests from all over the globe who have helped others change their lives, and will provide you with the tips, tools, and techniques that you need to help make a difference in your own life. Now, here is Marla Goldberg.
Hello, everyone. I hope you're all having a terrific Thursday. I know I am. I'm so happy you're here with me. And I am also so happy about our guest today, Seta Araz Shahinian. And Seta offers a unique approach to the healing arts and has been in private practice as an energetic healer and alternative care practitioner since 2001. Although she has studied many modalities, her primary modality of healing is prayer in both English and Armenian. Seta is facile in identifying and addressing the varied obstacles, patterns, and constructs, past, present, and future, that may prevent us from accomplishing our objectives and or have contributed to the dis-ease that we seek to remedy and address. Special attention is given to energetic flaws, weaknesses in structure that result in codependency, as well as facilitating exorcisms, dissolving curses, vows, separation from labels, diseases, and other protection and others. Protection with intact boundaries and shields, childhood and relationship wounds, past life regressions with rescripting, as well as many other varied ailments of mind, body, and soul. Additionally, she incorporates the multifaceted 7 steps to abundance in addressing matters of love, prosperity, employment, health, and success, to name a few. Seta teaches her own modalities, 2 hands to heal, and the diligent application of deliberate intent as self-healing tools, along with providing her clients with recorded prayers for future use. Seta strongly believes in empowering her clients with tools and techniques that enhance self-advocacy, independence, and faith in oneself as well as God. She encourages the practice of prayer and daily communication with the Creator. And I have to tell you, so do I. Welcome, Seta. How are
Thank you.
doing?
Thank you. I didn't know you were going to read that whole thing out loud. I would have made it much shorter.
No, it's fine. And it's so comprehensive. And it doesn't even hit the tip of the iceberg of what you do, how you do it, and how powerful the changes are. So what I like to do, so first, welcome. I'm so glad we finally got you here.
Thank you for inviting me. Thank you for hosting. Thank you for sharing with the world and all that you do.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate it. I am really grateful you're here. But what I like to do is I want to start at the beginning. When did you realize or start your path, your spiritual path? Were you a child? Did you know as a child you had these abilities, talents, gifts, whatever you might call them? Or is it something that developed as you were in adolescence or later in life?
You know, I had an inkling as a child because I would just, now I would understand it as an energetic hit, as an intuitive hit, but really didn't access it so much until I was probably first in my 20s, and then really after having given birth, because my son did very, very poorly after vaccination and lost all speech and really didn't speak until he was almost 5. And at the time, the doctors basically, I remember going to the foremost physician in Manhattan that I waited almost a year to get an appointment. And this is in 1994, 1995. Paid $950 then.
Oh my.
And all she did was say to me, you have to learn sign language. Your son is never going to speak. Or use a computer facilitated tablet because it's never going to happen. And I just always have felt that if there is a problem that we have in life, that God always will offer that solution and we have to persevere. And I started my search. And I want you to know that there was no internet at the time. So
A lot of
it
time
was
at
a
the
far more
library.
difficult search than I could have imagined. But God really did answer my prayers. I had been to Brazil visiting my cousin, and she was doing a lot of lab work out of Chicago. And I said, how is it possible that you're sending, your urine and hair and blood all the way to Chicago? She said, it's the foremost lab. So when he was encountering difficulties and had loss of speech, and they told me at the time, that he was on the spectrum and that he needed massive doses of vitamin B6, I said to myself, well, I'm not going to give that to him until I verify that it's actually true. So I happened to remember the name of this lab. It was years later. And it just so happened that John Pangborn was the biochemist there. And he had actually done blood work on more than 1,000 children on the spectrum. And he told me, you have to take them off of dairy and wheat. And that's exactly what I did. So first I started with dairy. Within 24 hours, my son started babbling for the first time in 2.5 years. He had been completely mute. And then afterwards, within 5 days, he began to speak single words. And within a month, he was speaking in sentences. So
isn't that amazing? And so
yeah.
how did this tie in with your intuitive abilities?
Well, I ended up thinking that this obviously, he has some kind of an allergic constitution, right?
Yes.
And but it's impacting the brain. The vital force, when it's very, very strong, will exteriorize the disease. We'll get, the sniffles, the eyes will turn red, your skin might break out in hives or rashes. But if your vital force is not strong and you are having an allergic reaction, you will only experience it, on the level of the organs or the central nervous system. So for example, somebody who might have asthma might also be very allergic, or somebody who might have ADD, which is definitely on the level of the central nervous system, undoubtedly has allergies. And people don't believe it because they say, well, I didn't see anything. I don't see anything on the skin, but it's not going to show up on the skin because an allergy can impact any organ system.
I agree with you. It's funny, and I know this, we're veering off just a little bit, but I listened to a interview with Dr. Anthony William, and the interviewer said, what are the 5 worst foods a person can eat? And he said the worst food, the one worst food, and this is the only one he got out, was egg. Because egg feeds pathogens. Eggs feed this and that. And I have nothing against the egg and, the egg business, and I don't want any replay. This is just, I'm repeating what Anthony Williams had said. And I thought it made so much sense the way he explained. And I think that dairy, gluten, there's so many things, food items like that and environmental that affect people that they're not even aware of.
We should be able to encounter any type of stimuli in our environment or ingest it and be in accord with it and be comfortable with it. But the level of allergies right now, it's an epidemic level of children. Actually, I think it's 1 out of 18 children who can actually die from some kind of an anaphylactic shock. And so what you have to ask yourself is, why is the immune system so unregulated? Why is it so hypersensitive and overreactive? And I believe that the vaccinations are being given at too early an age. The immune system isn't mature until after the age of 2, and it's not developing properly.
So, and what I'm hearing is, and what is in the fluid that they call the vaccine, what is actually in it?
Oh, there's everything from formaldehyde to foreign DNAs to you name it, but mercury toxins.
Yes, it's like drinking tap water. I haven't had tap water since 1999, but it's just filled with so much stuff that you don't even realize is in there. And you're giving it to these babies who haven't even developed immune systems yet.
Yes, that's why we're supposed to breastfeed, right? Technically it's because your baby doesn't have an immunity. So how is it that we're receiving a hepatitis shot the first day of birth? Is it because we're having sex, or we're shooting at needles, or we're eating shellfish? It really doesn't make sense in a completely undeveloped immune system. There's something barbaric about this.
There is. And I'd love to continue this conversation because
I know, but that's not what we're supposed to talk about.
But I want to talk about, I want to talk about you. I want everybody to learn about you, because
happened as I searched for healers to help my children. I ended up feeling that I had the senses to understand what was going on, and then I learned, and then after that, and I studied, and then I just completely started downloading all of the things that Spirit wanted me to know and understand and share.
And one of the things is simple, a daily practice. Is it a daily prayer practice? Is it a daily meditation practice? I know that it's daily practice. And I know you're big on prayer. Prayer is very integral in your life.
Yes, because we're not supposed to do it alone. You know, we were born into families, we're born in communities. Just ponder this, okay? Every other animal on this planet is independent at a very young age. But the human animal is so dependent and, you know, well past 18, really, if you think about it, you know, not just financially, emotionally, but in so many different ways, you know.
It's so true.
And it's because we're supposed to really understand that we are a part of a community. If you take a 5-year-old, and if that 5-year-old, for example, is recalcitrant and chooses not to come down to dinner when, you know, the mother calls them or the father has prepared a wonderful meal, and the child says no, that child does not have the ability to go shopping on their own. They don't have the money. They can't buy the food and bring it home. They can't even reach the counters to prepare it. So they're going to suffer by not surrendering, by not accepting help, you know. And this is, Spirit said to me, if a parent is the parent of your body, I am the parent of your soul. And so I want you to ask me for help as well, because for me, you're all 5-year-olds. So we're climbing this mountain without assistance. And if we just ask for help, it makes life so much easier.
And there is help. When you ask for help, it shows up. And it's something that people, but is there a special way to ask for help?
Yes. First of all, never, ever, ever complain. Never, you know, because the law of attraction is exact and precise, and actually even amplified more so when we are praying, because we've already elicited the support of the universe. We're in communication with the universe. And now all of a sudden we're complaining, and it's not going to work out. It's actually going to further exasperate the problem that you want to resolve through prayer. So a beautiful way is, I think, to start a prayer is with gratitude. You know?
I agree. That's what I do every morning. If I can't get past anything, it's the gratitude piece.
Yes.
Because, you know, you have to, even if you're going through a bad time, you know, you might be broke as a joke, but you still might have a roof over your head, or food, or friends that are taking you in and taking care of you, or some sort of public assistance that can help you. There's gratitude for all of this. And that's a stepping stone for openings, in my opinion. Do you agree?
Because, you know, God honors free will, and he will not intervene until asked. So we have to actively ask and know. In my opinion, the ability to pray, the gift of prayer, is the only unique, true equality that exists in the world. Because in no other way are humans equal. You know, some are born with disabilities, some are born to poor families, to rich families, to abusive parents, to loving parents. But every single soul, because they have a soul, which is an aspect of God within them, is intrinsically linked to source. And therefore, they have the opportunity to pray. I make an analogy to the computer, right? I have Wi-Fi, that's my soul. And so I have access to the computer, and I can ask a question of Google, and Google starts with GO2. I just think that's a little bit interesting. And Google can answer 4 billion people simultaneously, which I also think is interesting. And we get a response very quickly. But if we don't ask a question,
how do they know to answer it?
Right? We don't have the information we need or the support that we're requesting.
So I know you have a prayer that you want everyone to incorporate into their life. So would you please share it?
Thank you. I even timed it. It's like 30 seconds.
That's okay.
And it's, God, creator of all, please oversee and bless planet Earth and preserve all life, the environment and all habitats, so that we may all live and thrive in peace and harmony now and in the future. Thank you, God, for lovingly answering our prayers.
I love that. When I read that, I was like, oh my God, I'm incorporating that into my life, because it encompasses everything for 30 seconds. You know, you could take 30 seconds out of your day and say this a few times, because it is so important to Get
Yes.
that out there, and it raises your vibration. And we talked about the law of attraction, right? And so when,
Yes.
everything meets you where you are. So if your vibration is high, your attitude is high, you've got gratitude, it meets you up there. Agree?
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. And I was told in prayer that you please encourage people to pray, because we're at a critical point. We're at that juncture where the more prayer we have, the more spirit is able to help us, the more the creator is able to support us and maybe, change the outcome.
How do you feel about 5D, coming into play, and prayer and manifestation? The fifth dimension.
The fifth dimension. So I think that it's intrinsic to prayer, right? You can't separate it. When we pray, I'm always to be on the past, present, and future, and in all dimensions and all directions of time and space, because it's not just about the now. You have to know, like right now, this is linear. My future is in front of me, my past is behind me. But when we pray, the perspective of source is from above, and above can see everything simultaneously. They can even see the probable path, right, that we are going to be following if we continue in the same manner, based upon the thoughts, words, and deeds that we've already planted in our future. But sometimes people aren't very careful with what they say.
So true.
And they
or do or think, which is all important, because it encompasses what you're saying. I'm sorry,
Yes.
I had to interject that. So go ahead, please.
Yes, no, please. So a lot of times people end up being in a little bit of a panic about, oh my God, I just ended up saying a million negative things, and how am I going to undo this? Because if they're really conscious, they understand that the law of attraction is always exact and precise and constant. So
Yes.
I have included on my website a prayer that people can access. It's a short prayer, but if you're conscious at that moment that you've made a mistake, you can recite this prayer. And basically the prayer is, Lord, I am your servant. I remain in my faith, asking for your guidance, your grace, and your mercy. Please correct the error of my ways and instill your light and love within me, illuminating me as I live each day in your holy presence.
I love that. And that is in your website of www.ehealings.com.
It is.
Okay. So
It is.
everyone, you know what? We're taking a break right now, but while we're breaking, please go to www.ehealings.com and find the prayer, and it will help to offset anything.
Negate,
Thank you.
right?
I was losing my word, but negate.
It's okay.
Any, because we all have negative stuff. So we'll be right back. Hang on.
All right, great job. We're all clear.
Thank you. It's great. I love that prayer. I'm going to have to find it myself, because I just think that is brilliant.
We need tools. We all need tools.
We do.
And
that's what I want with the show, is to be able to offer tools to people who are listening, so that they can enhance their life, tweak it, shift it, whatever works, while spotlighting amazing individuals like yourself. And well, you're so helpful, and your modality, I know the two hands, there's a
2 hands to heal.
Thank you. 2 hands to heal. That was amazing. Absolutely amazing. I've told a couple of people about it since last week.
I know. I actually received a referral from you. You're very kind.
Oh, you did? Okay, good.
I did.
Yeah, just amazing. Absolutely amazing. So, and I love prayer, and my prayer takes like 20 minutes in the morning. And now I'm at this conference, and it's like from 9 in the morning to 10 at night. And I've gone through the gratitude thing 3 times, but I haven't gotten any further. And finally it's like, okay, Spirit, just take my prayers, put them in today, and let's move, and answer them, please, for me, because I don't want to forget doing my prayers, but I'm assuming that Spirit, it's sort of imprinted. They know what I'm saying. They know what I want to accomplish. And it's like, please just move it to today. And thank you.
It's just, it's a daily habit. just like brushing your teeth, you know. And I think that you can just be in conversation with God at all times. And, you know, your higher self is an aspect of your soul. You know, it's the divine is there to support us. And we have to just incorporate it. We have to know that they're there. We're not alone at all. We are never alone.
Never. I agree. Never alone. And I love this message because I'm hoping more and more people will hear this and they will start saying, there's got to be something to this, because so many people say the same thing. And maybe they will start incorporating it, you know, and bringing it into them so that it can start helping their lives and changing them. Even if they realize they're saying something negative. I
Right.
use clear delete. You know, that's one of my things. Say it 3 times to negate.
That's a good idea too. Yes, delete, delete, delete.
Yeah,
Right?
clear delete, clear
It's true.
delete, clear delete, boom.
I
And, you
didn't
know,
mean that. I take it back.
exactly. Don't go into the ether. Stop right now.
And don't go into guilt either, right?
No.
Because guilt is an emotion that really intrinsically makes us unworthy. Because if you feel guilty, you have to punish yourself. So that takes us out of alignment with source.
So much so.
All
And
right,
it's
sorry to interrupt here, Marla, but we are just about to come back.
perfect. Thanks, Matt. Oh, I love our conversation.
You are listening to Guided Spirit Conversations. To reach Marla Goldberg or her guest today, you're invited to call in to the program at 1-888-346-9141. That's 1-888-346-9141. If you'd rather send an email, the address is guidedspiritconversations@gmail.com. Now, back to this week's program.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back. I am so excited that you stuck around, or if you haven't, that you tuned in, because today we've got Seta Araz Shahinian. Did I do that
That's
correctly? Good. Okay. And Seta is amazing. She is an energetic healer and an alternative practitioner. She is about prayer. We just are so parallel on so many of our beliefs and how we think. She incorporates her 7 steps of abundance in addressing matters of love, prosperity, employment, health, success. And she also teaches her own modalities: 2 hands to heal and diligent application of deliberate intent.
Mhm.
Let's welcome Seta back. Hello.
Hi. Thank you, Marla. Thank you so much for having me.
Oh, I'm so happy to have you here. So we were talking about prayer. How do we receive the answer to our prayers?
You know, just as the creator is invisible and that world is invisible, so too are our energetic receptors invisible, but they're very much there. Have you ever, for example, been at a red light and you can feel somebody's gaze upon you, and you
Yes.
turn and you see that the man next to you is looking right at you, or the woman, and
Yes.
you have energetic receptors going through 2 doors, 2 windows, whatever it is. I mean, it's amazing the accuracy of these receptors. We have trillions of receptors. We have meridians, we have chakras, we have, I don't want to go into all the explanations, but we have so many, the energetic highways are really the means by which we receive the answer to our prayers. Because what I see when we pray is I see a kaleidoscope of geometric shapes. I see sacred geometry, and I see that it rains light upon us, and it looks exactly like fireworks. In fact, I always imagine that the person who invented fireworks must somehow have been able to see that, because it's what it looks like, but all different colors. And wherever the area that requires the most sustenance through prayer, that's where the light, like a laser oftentimes, will be targeted. So when we create patterns through constantly indulging in negative thought, when we pray, like a laser beam, it shaves it off a little bit at a time, until we actually experience freedom from that negative pattern. And negative patterns can follow you through lifetimes.
Yes.
First of all, if I were to indulge something negative and repetitively, the same thing over and over again, I'm actually, every single time I think that thought, I am placing a seed in my future. And I'm waiting for time to elapse and that seed to come to fruition and manifest in my life. Now, if I have that same thought once or twice or 100 times, 1,000 times, if it becomes pervasive, and it spreads everywhere, then I'm in trouble because now I've actually cursed myself.
And
And
becomes
my
a
will
self-fulfilled
alone
prophecy.
can't overcome it. So it's what's called a curse of individuation. And the problem with curses of individuation are that when we get pregnant, we pass them on to our children, just like we pass on our physical features. And then if it's a very prevalent curse, when we pass on, it stays with our soul. And in our next lifetime, it becomes what I call a contractual limitation. Now we're obligated to experience that limitation early in life. That's why, can you imagine if we could just be a little bit more aware of how we speak, what we say, the seeds we plant, just coming from love and forgiveness, trying to live more in the now, letting go of the past, not thinking so much of the future, because we don't have the power to impact our future other than perhaps studying or learning or evolving. But I'm talking about on a day-to-day basis, right? I can't impact my life 20 years from now today because I'm living today. I have to wait for 20 years later to happen, right? So that I can really take action. We can only take action today, and we have to take action today.
And there's free will. So what you might be, the reason you don't know it's 20 years, because the flow of your river can change direction so many times because of the free will and what's going on, correct?
Yes. So to worry about something and to become anxious about something that's going to happen even 2 months later or 3 months later, it is a waste of your effort and your energy, because it's finite, the energy that we have. We have to use it wisely. And the more we prepare ourselves today, the more powerful, the more empowered, and the more successful we can be. I wanted to also say one thing about the power of intention. As mothers, many times mothers can worry or be concerned about their children.
Yes.
If you worry excessively about your child, you are sending your child negative energy, and that becomes a burden for your child. Instead of worrying about your child, you can pray for them and say, God, please help my child, assist them through this, whatever it is they're going through.
Protect them. Direct
them, guide them, protect them. And a lot of times I'll literally put my children in a hot air balloon, and I'll send them up to spirit, to God, and I'll say, please take care of them. So you're actually doing something that's constructive versus sitting there in fear or worry, burdening yourself as well as your children.
So true. And I have to tell you that I put people in bubbles and I fill them with pink light, fill it with love and compassion, and send it back to them.
Yes.
Just because that works as well.
Yes, it does.
In the same way. So how does one person's prayer become more effective than another's?
It's based on the frequency of the person themselves, right?
Yes.
So if you think about how much love a person has, love has a far higher frequency. If I have so much love within me, and I'm speaking from a place of love and uttering that prayer with love and vibrating with love, it's going to be amplified. But if I'm so angry and I'm praying, but I'm really, really angry, and sometimes people get angry, no matter what, the frequency of that person, the vibration is lower. And so that prayer is actually less effective. It depends on how receptive we are, how much we consider ourselves to be worthy, how much faith we have, sometimes frequency of prayer, service. I think that we are rewarded exponentially when we are in service. It's almost as though the person in service has a microphone and their prayers are heard more loudly. And I actually did hear that. Spirit said that to me. So that's one of the ways in which we are rewarded when we are of service.
Interesting. That's great. So do you have any suggestions for somebody whose frequency might be a little bit lower? They might be a little stuck on how they might start turning their what am I thinking? Turning it around for themselves, like raising their vibration to start being less negative and start throwing out positive, even fake it till you make it, but do you have any suggestions for people who are sort of stuck in their negativity and they don't even realize that they're stuck in their negativity, on how they might be able to turn things around?
Yes. And, you know, the first answer to that question is actually developing self-awareness. You know, what did I just say to myself in the last hour? Was I positive? You know, was my mindset something that's productive? Do I actually really want my thoughts to come to fruition? Or if I look at them from an outside perspective, am I going to be frightened that they are going to come to fruition? You know, so self-awareness is very key. And once you're self-aware, sometimes it can be as, you know, God, please negate the consequences of my incorrect thoughts, words, and deeds, reverse them. And you can actually do the opposite. If you know exactly what it was that you planted, the negative seed was, you can say a positive affirmation with more intensity and more frequency. But to be honest with you, when the pattern is on the level of a curse, we need to pray. And there is a series of prayers, and it probably would take several hours or possibly even several days. And if you think about how many days or years it took to create the curse in the first place, right, you would understand that there has to be some investment of time, effort, and energy. But I will tell you, the grace of God is definitely the shortcut.
It is a shortcut.
Even though it took us maybe 10 years to create the curse, he can really, in one sitting, through earnest prayer, devoted prayer, and faithful prayer, reverse that outcome.
It's almost like gaining weight. You don't get the LBs, you know, overnight for the most part, unless you have an allergy to something and you inflame.
Yes.
So losing them,
Good
you
analogy.
have patience, because, you know, you just do it over and over again, just like working out or just like watching your calories to lose the weight that you've put on. It doesn't happen overnight. So just be patient. I guess what I'm saying is, for everybody who out there who's listening to this, if this resonates with you, be patient and know that whatever you're doing is being heard. So make it positive, make it supportive, make it loving. And just remember, it's going to take its time, but ask Spirit to show you that you're on the right track for something concrete each and every day. And maybe somebody gives you a kind word or does something nice for you. I mean, do you agree with this?
Yes, absolutely, absolutely. And, you know, I haven't done webinars as many as I should, but when I was given this prayer, they said, okay, Seta, time to get going. And I do have some webinars that are coming up, and one of them will have to do with curses. So if we recognize that we have patterns that are so concrete that we can't sort of get out of our own way, the person eventually can tune in and hopefully participate on that. And it will be a healing. It will be, you know, just the equivalent of a session that I would do privately, because I understand, you know, we're limited in the amount of time that we have to see people one-on-one, and that we have to, the need is so great actually to have freedom from these binding, negative and constricting states and conditions that we need to provide the tools.
So tell us more about this. When is this webinar going to happen? How do people get in touch with you for the webinar? This is important information.
Yes, it's not up yet, but it will be up, and it will be available. Probably I'll make it available on Facebook or on eHealings, www.eHealings. And they can register at the time and hopefully have access to it afterwards as well. But I do want to say that on December 28th, I would love people to register. I want to have a slightly lengthier prayer for the world. Oh. And if they actually provide the emails, then I can give the prayers in advance so that they have it in their hands and can partake and utter the words in unison, which is
global consciousness, raising the consciousness.
Yes.
As a unit, as a single
unit. It's exponential.
Unit. Yes.
It's not 1 + 1 = 2. It's far more exponential.
And it's powerful and it works. And we want to shift what's happening on so many levels.
And it's going to be at 1:11 p.m. because I always think at 1:11, Spirit takes a snapshot of everything that's emanating from us. And I want the snapshot to be a collective prayer for the world.
And that's 1:11 Eastern time?
Yes, thank you for clarifying.
Yeah. Not everybody, because 1:11 to you might be, and somebody will say, "Well, I missed it. How come? I'm here. It's 1:11." So we want to know. So 1:11 in one place will work universally as well. Correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Absolutely, absolutely. I do want to say that. And then actually, I'm going to have one. Excuse me. on codependency afterwards,
Oh,
because for
so
me,
powerful.
it will be on January 18th. And the one on codependency, codependency is intrinsically a structural issue. And many people don't understand how much structure impacts our lives. Our energetic structure facilitates all of our endeavors. And if you can think of it as a container, we are able to hold on to resources or we can't. And if our structure is shattered, then we have very little ability to move forward. Paralysis ensues and we go into survival mode. And at that point, once we're in survival mode, we begin to embed aspects of ourselves in other people. And so in order to alleviate codependency, we really have to extract ourselves from others. It's much more complicated than that, but that's a summary.
I think those are brilliant that you're doing these webinars, and I feel I know a whole laundry list of people that I want to tell about this too, because I love them. I want them to succeed in life. I want them to be happy in life, and I know that your courses, I know intuitively that your courses will be very powerful to help people as long as they're open to the process and not coming in with a closed mind. That's important to any
yes, because intention drives everything, right? That's why it's so important, for example, even with labels. If somebody has a disease state and they believe that that's a part of their identity because they've labeled themselves negatively, I have blank, blank, blank. Right. Do you know, it's so difficult to extricate themselves from disease into health because they have a label on themselves. There are so many very basic things. One of the seminars is going to be about vows. I realized that a lot of people obviously are not with their original partners, but they were married, they had vows. Sometimes it's even a vow from the heart, and then they move on, they get divorced, but those vows are still actually very active. So there's a lack of vacancy in their next relationship, and they're not really as open as they think they are because they still have vows to somebody else. And they don't even know how to negate those vows or, render them null and void. So there are so many little nuances of things that can impact us. And we don't even know that we're abiding in this restricted terrain. And we think we have free will, but meanwhile, we've already promised our love to somebody else and we don't even know how to get out of it,
It's true. And so we're going to come back more about and talk more about this and the vows when we come back. But right now we're going to go take a break. If you're on YouTube, stick around. If you're not on YouTube, stick around anyway, because Seta's here for another segment. Also, if you want to talk to Seta, 888-346-9141. I know she'd love to talk to you and answer any questions you have. So stick around.
Okay, nicely done. All clear. Back in a couple minutes.
Thank you. Okay. Wow.
So
just so good.
I want to talk about something, but I guess it shouldn't be so important that the other people miss it while we're on break. Is that true? I don't know.
They will miss it if they're just doing audio. So tell me what it is and I will bring it up right after we do a charity shout out.
It's something that makes, I've been very concerned lately because God orchestrates everything in my mind. And sometimes there are a series of people that will come to see me with similar problems. Okay? And it astounds me as to how frequently that will happen. But recently, it is about people who've recently been hospitalized or who have been visiting people in hospitals. And they are not fully present, meaning our soul has to be fully present in our body. Sometimes when we're experiencing pain, when we're in a state of grief, perhaps a loved one is on the verge of passing, or we ourselves have been, encountered health risk and our health is at risk. Go ahead.
So I just want to say, let's hang on to this because you're saying, I know we're getting into the conversation, but I want to bring it up when the collective is on.
Okay.
Because I think that I'm feeling this is very powerful and I think it will help a multitude of people.
I think I can't tell you, it's on an epidemic level for me, and in an astonishing manner, actually. What else? What else should we talk
Well,
about?
I know, well, for me, we'll talk about hospitalizations, but people transitioning. I've had 2 high school friends leave in 1 week, which
Oh.
is amazing. Thank you. But it's amazing in the sense that it's like, a lot of people are, their contracts are up so early. Because I believe that we have an expiration date. We have a contract that says, okay, this is the day and time you're going to go. And I
But
know.
if we have multiple life paths, actually the exit point is different.
Oh, that's an
So we
interesting.
can have
I did not
multiple
know
life
this.
paths, and it's based on a crossroads. We can come to a juncture. And at that juncture, if we make the right decision or the wrong decision, I don't know which one is best.
Sorry to interrupt. We're coming back.
Spirit probably would think that leaving
Thanks,
early
Matt.
is not a bad thing, right? Because we're going
To
home.
reach Marla
So it
Goldberg
depends on
or
your
her guest
perspective.
today, you're invited
It's never bad for those left, those that leave. It's only for those left.
346-9141. That's 1-888-346-9141. If you'd rather send an email, the address is guidedspiritconversations@gmail.com. Now, back to this week's program.
Welcome back, everyone. So I just love Seta. We've been having the greatest conversation today, and I'm so glad you're here to be a witness to it. Seta Araz Shahinian is an energetic healer and an alternative care practitioner. She has amazing information. Her work is so powerful, and she has powerful messages. But before we bring Seta on to continue our conversation, it's charity shout out time. And
Okay.
charity shout out time. So Seta's charity is halotrust.org. And why don't you tell us about Halo Trust? Am I saying this right? Halo
Trust, yes.
Halo Trust.
2 years ago, I was in Nagorno-Karabakh, which is an adjacent autonomous region outside of Armenia. And we went on an excursion, and I saw halo. And of course it's a word that draws, I think of halo like spiritual. And so it drew my attention. And what I realized was that it is an organization that is doing profound work. A lot of regions that have been war torn and have seen many years of conflict, so many landmines have been planted, and animals, children, unsuspected people, they're just destroying their lives. They're becoming amputated. They're dying, and the landmines have to be found, and they have to be removed. And I don't think that there is enough attention on this, because it can be something that is simple, that can really relieve a great deal of harm, the potential for harm, if they have enough money and enough resources. And they're working in 25 countries. So it's not like it's one country. It's much more prevalent than we can ever imagine. People being amputated and dying just because they walk in an unsuspected area and there's a landmine.
And they don't see it coming, but they
don't see it coming.
Yeah.
And I saw so many disturbing pictures and so many children, and I pray for them. And here's what actually comes to, I'm going to change the subject, but not change the subject, but
Okay.
I'm going to go to the next step when we talk about death. So we have people dying, having encountered these landmines. And generally speaking, when people die from an accident, oftentimes they don't go to the light. The soul remains in a state of shock. And I once read a statistic recently that only 24% of people these days are having religious services at the time of death, as there has been a movement away from organized religion. Except that when it comes to a funeral, for example, the word funeral in Armenian means to direct. I see the cords to earth being cut. I see the person who has passed being bathed in light, and I see the person being escorted to the light. So it's not a given that your loved one, when they pass, that they will automatically go to the light. A lot of times, sometimes the person might be afraid. They might not know what's on the other side. They might be afraid or concerned about leaving their loved one. And they just hover. And unfortunately, there is an epidemic of souls not going to the light. Now, one of the places where people die oftentimes can be in a hospital. And so I find that people who are visiting hospitals, who have a tendency of not being fully present, either because they're in pain and they're on morphine and they want to escape, or because a loved one is passing, whatever the reason is, or because they themselves are drug addicts or alcoholics and they're trying to escape from, the drudgery of their lives and the pain of their lives. These people are truly suspect to an attachment of a deceased soul that will actually change the entire quality of their life from that point onwards. And they won't even know what hit them. They'll go to doctor after doctor trying to figure out why they're feeling horribly. And they won't know, because not everything is on an ailment of the body or the mind. There are ailments of the soul.
It's true. So is there a prayer that one could say at the time of their loved one's passing that might help them go to the light?
I think that, yes, of course. Archangel Azrael is the archangel, for example, in charge of escorting and helping Mother Mary and Jesus and God. You have to pray. You're not going to be able to do it by yourself. And the problem is so often that the person, sometimes the loved one begins to pray to the person who has passed. And that person who has passed has limited abilities. Sometimes we don't let them go and they hover around us because we can't let them go. But that is not for the highest and greatest good of the soul that has passed. They have a journey that they have to go on. So we have to learn how to let go. And we can't assume that they have the capacity to help us. They can actually help us most by praying for us. And if they go to the light, they can pray for us even more from the light, but not hovering around us. But it's not even that. There are so many people, for example, I recently had the unfortunate experience of working with a widow and her husband, who was somebody that we would never suspect, had committed suicide. But when I looked at the soul of the man who committed suicide, praying that he would go to the light, I saw another soul, actually two souls attached to him. And the one soul had committed suicide and was constantly encouraging him and feeding him and giving him thoughts to commit suicide. So it wasn't even of his own volition. It was almost as though he was really possessed and overwhelmed by the will of this very dominant soul who had committed suicide and was imposing that on him. And go ahead.
Well, I'm sorry, was the soul a relative or somebody he might have known?
Nobody. No.
So just a stranger soul.
I don't know
how else to say it. Attached to somebody, and it's like, come on, do it. Kind of.
I won't even go far. I just 2 weeks ago, there was a mother who came in very concerned about her 11-year-old who was talking about hurting himself, which was a very, very new conversation, and had begun to listen to heavy metal death music and this and that. And she was very funny. She said, we come from a nice Jewish family. She said, we don't listen to music like this. And she couldn't even recognize him. He looked so different. He appeared different to her. And you could see he was concerned. And his personality had altered. It was altered. And I said to her, I can see that there is a soul that overdosed at the age of 16, a young soul attached to him, and is planting thoughts of suicide. And literally, after the soul was released, the child reverted back to its normal state.
So how does this happen? How do these stranger souls attach to other souls and try and get control of their mind, so to speak? Because it is a sense of mind control.
It is. Well, it's a kind of possession, right?
Yes.
I believe it happens because the soul themselves is not fully present. That's why before we go to the hospital, for example, or before we go to areas where we might suspect that there might be many, many souls, a cemetery, for example, many times there are souls hanging out in cemeteries.
Yes.
We have to ensure and ask and pray. And I say, God, please ensure that my soul has descended all the way down to the extremities, into every nook and cranny of my essence and being, my physical form, my energetic form, and I am fully present, rooted and grounded in the now. And people, before they go to a hospital to visit a loved one, this is what they have to do. Just imagine a ball of light and ask God to ensure that that you are fully present, rooted and grounded in the now. And I know that if you're visiting a loved one who is very, very sick, that sometimes, it's the last thing in your mind, but maybe those are the people that are most suspect. I had recently 2 clients whose mothers, one had a stent, one had fallen down and had broken her hip. And she came home and she said, my mother, ever since she was in the hospital, is so different. I don't even recognize her. And lo and behold, we have souls attached to them. These are older ladies that you would never even think would be victims, quote unquote.
Right.
And the next thing you know, we do the prayer, we separate the soul. And I got calls from both of them. Oh, my mom, she's back to the nice, sweet, normal self, of her prior self.
What a great note to end on. And I'm so sorry that this conversation has to complete because we're closing down, but I would love to have you back again, Seta.
Yes.
This has been so informative, so much information, and it's not the usual message that tends to be shared. So I'm so grateful for it and for you. So thank you so much.
You're very welcome. I will say that there is also a prayer of protection, a short daily prayer of protection that I added on the website that they have access to as well.
Perfect. So reach out to Seta at www.ehealings.com. Don't forget about her webinars, the one on December 28th and the one on the 18th of January. It'll even we're starting a new decade. So start the new decade a new way to uplift your life, shift it, change it. And if you have questions, just reach out to Seta through email.
My email is seta@ehealings.com.
Perfect. Or text and email with your phone number and she will get back to you. But this is a woman that is powerful. So if you you're welcome.
Thank you for the opportunity to share, because this is what is so important, that we all share and we give and receive information, because that's why we're supposed to be part of this community. And I thank you for allowing me to be a part of your community.
I'm so grateful for you on so many levels. So I also want to thank everyone at Voice America, Matt, Robert, Jeff, Ryan, Aaron, for all the support. Teresa Scott Reed, my assistant, my left hand, my right hand, so grateful for her every single day. And I am eternally grateful for you, the listening audience, for taking time out of your life to participate through listening, through hopefully incorporating some of these shared tools and techniques into your life to help shift, change, enhance it, whatever it is you need. But so grateful for you. And if you want to see the behind the scenes version, go to Guided Spirit Conversations on YouTube and catch the background, what happens during break. It's right before Thanksgiving. So I send you a basket full of gratitude and thanks and giving and Thanksgiving to you. And I look forward to catching up with you in the beginning of December, right before the holidays. So thank you for being with us and sending love, blessings, and gratitude. Till the next time. Take care.
All right.